Hello, it's Masai here, and today I'm going to show you how to build out a document automation system. So essentially what we're getting is a call transcript, this unstructured input. We have the caller here, we have the conversation, and what we want to be able to do is fill our pre-created template, which has the retainer agreement with a few different variables in it. So engagement date, the full name of the potential client, the address, the scope of representation, the opposing party, the hourly rate for the attorney and the paralegal, which are already preset variables, the retainer fee, another preset variable, and then the full name of the client. So we want to take a few of these variables that we're going to extract from our call transcript and basically pop this in here so that we can upload it both into Google Drive and into Clio. So if I go into this workflow and I actually execute this workflow, I go ahead and click execute, then this workflow will run. We'll download the file. We'll have AI extract those variables from our transcript. We'll download the template file. We will combine the template with the variables extracted using this node, and then we will send that off to both Google Drive and Clio as well. So if I go into my Google Drive, I can see my formatted retainer agreement popping up in here, and I can see all the variables have been filled. So the client variable has been filled, the hourly rates have been filled, the address has been filled, the retainer amount has been filled, and all of the variables that we have set prior in our template have all been filled automatically using that workflow. It's been uploaded to our Google Drive folder, but it's also been uploaded as well to our folder here in Clio as well. So we can open up this file and we can see it's downloaded here, and I can see the formatted agreement is also in Clio as well. And so obviously there are tons of different ways you could use something like this. This is just an overall high-level example of how you can take unstructured data, get AI to assign structured variables to that data, and then actually use that data down the line in other steps. It's really important in this upcoming climate. A lot of new tools are coming out. The people who are going to get the most out of AI are the people who are able to get their tools and their platforms to talk to each other. That's exactly what we're doing in this video, is walking through how you can start to connect your tools together to interact with these different platforms, tools, large language models, AI, in a way that's programmatic. So instead of you manually doing all this stuff, you can have it running in the background, and you can start to make really concrete gains in increasing your productivity, your efficiency, and saving yourself a lot of time and money. If you don't know me, my name is Masai, and I help small law firms to build workflows just like these to maximize their efficiency and save them time and money. Okay, so now let's get into actually how to build this from scratch. A couple of prerequisites. You're going to need n8n, that is n, the letter n, the number 8, the letter n, and you are going to need to self-host it. There are tons of videos on YouTube that will show you how to self-host n8n, but you'll need the self-hosted version because we are going to be using this docx templater node, which is a community node, which you can only get on the self-hosted version of n8n. So if I go here into docx templater, unless you have the self-hosted version of n8n and you have installed docx templater as a node, you won't be able to actually run this. You will need the docx templater node installed. Then you will need an OpenAI account and OpenAI API key as well, which you can get at platform.openai.com/API-keys. So you can find that here. You are also going to need to connect your Google Cloud account into n8n, which I show you how to do in this previous video. You will also need to connect your Clio account into n8n, which I show you how to do in this video here. So if you haven't watched either of those and you need to connect either your Google account into n8n, or you need to connect your Clio account into n8n, check out both or either of these two videos in order to get that set up. And then once you have all of those credentials set up, we are ready to get started with our workflow. So we're going to create a new workflow. And the first thing that we need to do is set a node to watch our Google Drive folder. So we're going to click on add a first step. We're going to choose Google Drive, and we're going to have this run on a trigger. So we're going to have this node run whenever a change has been made to a certain folder. So whenever a file is uploaded to a folder, we're going to have this node run. So we're going to select on changes involving a specific folder. And then we are going to select the folder where our call transcripts are going to be uploaded. So we are going to be polling over this folder and checking it every minute to see if a new file has been added. First of all, you should have already set up your credential, so you can just get your credential connected in here. We're going to make sure it's a trigger on a change involving a specific folder. In this folder section, we're going to change from list to by ID, And then we're just going to go into the folder where our documents are. So my call transcript is in this folder here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the URL, and right after the slash that is after folders, I'm going to copy and paste that entire string of characters into n8n, because this is the ID of my folder. So I'm copying that ID. I'm going back into n8n and I'm pasting that ID. And what I'm going to be watching for is for a file created. And so once all that's set up, I can fetch a test event, and I can see that I should be pulling my call transcript in here now. So I can see the name of the file that I've pulled in is the call transcript. And then after we have pulled in that call transcript, we need to actually download that file. So what we're going to do now is add another Google Drive node, which is going to be a download file node. And we are going to download this file, not from a list, but by ID also. And we're going to go into this Google Drive trigger. We're going to scroll down all the way to the bottom, and we are going to find the ID of our file. So you should see the name here, and right above the name, you should see the variable for the ID of the file. And we're just going to drag and drop that here into our Google Drive node, our download file node, and we're going to execute this step. And we can see our call transcript has actually been downloaded now into our n8n instance. So now that we have the call transcript downloaded, what we're going to want to do is extract the actual text from that call so that we can pass that over to our large language model chain and actually have it perform that extraction, read that call transcript for us, and take out those variables that we need. So the first thing that we need to do is actually get the text out of our document before we can pass that text to our large language model. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add an extraction step. I'm going to click this plus button. I'm going to go into the search nodes section, and then I'm going to search for extract. I want to choose extract from file. And in this extract from file section, I want to select extract from PDF. And a quick note here, something that I actually forgot to do in the download file section, because we are extracting from a PDF and not a Google Doc, what we want to do is go into the options section here. We want to add an option and click on Google File Conversion. And what we're going to do is we're going to take all of our Google Doc files and we're going to convert them into PDF. And so that way, when I execute this step and download, I actually get a PDF outside the other end instead of a Google Doc file. And that way I can run my extraction on this PDF, execute this step, and I can get all of the text in that PDF coming out here. And then I can set up my LLM chain step to actually perform the extraction on this file. So in n8n, I'm going to click the plus button. I'm going to search for LLM chain. I'm going to select the basic LLM chain. And then for the source for our message, we want to just pass in the text from the previous node. So we want to change this from connected chat trigger node to defined below. And we want to just drag in the variable for text into this space here. So that way we can pass the text that we've just extracted into our LLM chain. And we are also going to require a specific output format, which we are going to set up in a second. And we want to also give it a system message, right? We want to give it a prompt to tell this LLM how we want it to act. So I'm going to paste my prompt in here. I'll open it up so you guys can see what my prompt is, and you guys can just copy this exact prompt. But we are telling it that it's a legal assistant and its task is to analyze the call transcript and extract the necessary details. We're even giving it the exact JSON structure that we want to extract and some notes as well. So you guys can take this prompt or you can write your own prompt, but this is the prompt that we're going to include in the system prompt for our LLM chain to actually perform the extraction we want it to perform. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to copy this exact JSON because we're going to use this in our structured output setting. And that is what our agent is going to reference in order to configure the structured output that it needs to create. So we have our system prompt set up. We're passing in the text from the previous step. And now we need to set up our model. Again, you should have already set up your OpenAI credential, and that way we can have our model come in here. And this for a simple extraction job like this, GPT-4o1 mini should be fine. Even GPT-4o1 nano, which would be even faster and even cheaper, should work fine for a basic extraction job like this. We now want to come into our output parser. We want to select our structured output parser. That way we're going to get our data back in a JSON format. We're going to select everything that's in here, delete it, and we're going to paste the JSON that we just copied from our previous step. And so that way I should be able to run this step and get out a coherent JSON structure that I can pass into my next steps. Now this LLM chain is running, and it should pass back to me the JSON output of exactly the variables that I need. So we have full name here, phone number, email, an address, all of the variables that we were looking for. And we are now going to pass all these variables into our next step, which is going to be combining the variables with our template from earlier. And that way we're going to have our templated document created. We have our variables set up, and what we need to do now is pull our template into this workflow so that we can populate the template with these variables. So the next thing that we're going to do is add a download node from Google Drive. We're going to go into Google Drive. We're going to go to download file. We're going to go and grab our template now, and we're going to drop the ID from our template into this node so we can download it into our instance. So I'm going to change this name here to download template. And then I'm going to go off into my documents folder. I'm going to pull up this template. And again, here, I'm going to look for the file ID, which is going to be at the end of this URL string. So after this D/, I'm going to grab this whole ID here, everything before the slash prior to edit. I'm going to copy that. And then I'm going to come back into my instance. I'm going to change where I'm getting the file from the from list section to the by ID section. So that way we're just going to paste this template in, and we are going to be executing this step and downloading our template into this instance. So we have our template in here now. And a thing to note with this docs templater is that you do need a .docs file. So it's not going to work with any other type of file. You have to make sure that the template is in a docs file. Now, the next thing that we're going to bring in is our docx templater node. What you'll need to do in order to get this node set up is you'll need to come down once you have n8n self-hosted. So the first thing you need to do is self-host n8n. Once you have it up and running self-hosted, you're going to come down to your name in the bottom left. You can go to settings, and you can go to community nodes. And then what you're going to want to do is just copy this here, n8n-nodes-docx templater, go to install. So you'll paste in that exact string there, n8n-nodes-docx templater, install it, and that will install that node for you into your workflow. We have our docx templater node in here, and what we're going to be doing now is passing both the downloaded file from the previous step, which is the template, and also the variables as well into the data section. So the input file name is going to be this name here, which is data, and then the data section is going to be the JSON from our previous step. So we want to grab this whole JSON for the output and just pass this entire thing in here. And so once we have this, we should be able to run this. And once we run this node, we can see that if we download this document, we can see that we have the .docs file, which has all of our information filled for us. So our client is filled, and the scope of representation, all of the variables that we defined before have been filled using the variables that we extracted in n8n. And now what we have to do is send this off to both Clio and also to Google Drive. The first thing that I'm going to show you how to do is send this off to Google Drive, and then we will send it off to Clio as well. So sending this off to Google Drive is a very simple process. All we're going to do is click this plus button. We're going to go into the Google Drive section, and we're going to select upload file. And again, the input data field name is going to be this field data. And what we're going to do is we're just going to find the folder that we want to upload it to. So if I come back into my folders here in the Google Drive, I want to upload it to this folder here, this formatted retainer agreement folder. So again here, I'm just going to go into the URL, and right after the folder section, the ID is going to be there. So I can just copy that. So I'm just going to change this drop down menu to by ID. I'm going to paste in my folder here, and then I can just run this step, and my file will be uploaded to this folder. So I can come into Google Drive, and I can see my file has just been uploaded here into this folder. So here we have our .docs file. We have all the formatting done. All of the variables have been inputted into our template, and this is already ready to go in Google Drive. The next thing that we have to do is actually set this up to be uploaded into Clio, which is a bit of a more complicated process because the Clio API, whether you are working with code or working in a no-code builder like n8n, the Clio API is going to require you to use a 3-step process in order to upload a file. So you need a post request to start the upload process. We're going to need a put request, which is going to actually take our file and upload it to the URL that Clio gives us back. And then lastly, we're going to need a patch request, which is going to tell Clio that the file has been uploaded. So it's a bit of an extensive process, but I'm going to walk you through that now. The first thing that we're going to need is the post request. So we're going to go to HTTP request, and we're going to get a post request. So we have our post request, and then I'm going to walk you through all of these input sections and exactly what you need to put in here. So for the URL, you're going to want to copy and paste exactly what you see here. That is https://app.clio.com/API/v4/documents ? Fields equals ID, ? latest _document _version, curly bracket, UUID, comma, put _URL, comma, put _headers. So the query, this question is the query parameters that we're sending off, which is just going to tell Clio the information that we want it to send back to us. And this is the URL that you're going to need to send your request to. So you're just going to want to copy exactly what's here and paste that into the URL section. For the authentication, you are going to have your Clio credential set up here. Again, if you have not set up a Clio credential before or built an app with Clio before, you can refer back to this video where I will walk you through the actual process of building your first app with Clio and setting up your credentials and pulling that into n8n. So once you have set up that credential, you can just use that same credential here to send your request off to Clio. We don't need to send any query parameters because we're already sending those in the URL. We don't need any headers. You're going to check the slider right here to send the body. The body content type is going to be JSON, and we're going to specify the body using JSON. And what you're going to want to do is copy this exact JSON that we have here. For your ID is not going to be the same as my ID. So my ID that I have here in Clio is the folder that I want my file to go to. What you're going to want to do is go into Clio, go into the folder that you want to upload to, and go into the URL here. And you can see here the value for folder ID. So folder ID equals, and you want to grab this ID, copy that, and then paste that into the ID section, right? And then if you are uploading it to a folder, you're going to include folder in the type. If you're uploading to a matter, you will include matter with a capital M. The content type, you're going to want to copy exactly what is here in this variable. So if you want to pause the video and copy this now, you can do that. And then for the name, you can really name this whatever you want, but keep in mind that once you turn this automation on, it's going to be always named the exact same thing. So what I wanted to do was to name it using the name of the potential client or the client, right? So all we're doing is just grabbing let me delete this so you can see. If I delete this, what we're going to do is just grab the name from the previous step, this full name variable, and we're just going to drag it here right after the equal sign. And that way you can see we have the variable in here, but the output is going to be this. And so if it's a different name of the client coming in, that will be reflected in Clio. So once you have all that set up, the next thing that you're going to want to do is configure your options. So what you want to do is go into the options section. You want to add an option. You want to go to response. You want to turn on include response headers and status. That is what's going to give us the actual URL that we need to send our file off to Clio. So once I do all of that, I can execute this step and I will get this response back from Clio. This put URL is going to be the URL that we're actually going to upload to, and all of these variables are going to be needed for our put request. The next thing we're going to be adding is this merge node. So you can just go up here on the top right and search for merge and get that node. There are two things that we're going to be connecting into this node. So the first thing you have to do is configure the node, right? So we're going to the merge node. We want to choose the mode is going to be combine, and we're going to combine by position, and the number of inputs is going to be 2 inputs. And the 2 inputs that we're going to pass into this node are the input from our HTTP request, our post request, and we're also going to pass in the file that we just created in our docx templater step. So we're going to pass in both of those. Again, make sure that all of your parameters are set up, and then we're going to execute this step, and we're going to see both of those being output as a single item. So we have both the file here and also the JSON of everything that came back from our post request being passed as well, which we will need for our put request. And so the next step we're going to add is our put request. Again, you can just click the add button, go to HTTP requests, add an HTTP request here, and then I will show you exactly how to configure this put request. So what I'm going to do is open up this request and walk you through each step. For the method, again, we are using a put request. So you're going to select put. And then for the URL, I'm going to show you where we're pulling all these variables from. So this URL is going to be the put URL from the post request. So you just want to drag this. I can show you now. You want to drag this variable into the URL section, and that will give you the put URL. You don't need any authentication for this because we have already authenticated in the previous step, and we're going to send some headers, right? So we need these two headers from the previous step, which are going to be our put headers. So the first header you want to grab from the put underscore headers array, which has two values in it. It has the value name, which we want to drag and drop into here. And it also has the value, which is value, right? So we want to drag that value into the value section. And then the next thing that we need is also the name section here, which is also included in this put headers array, and the value section here, right? Which is our content type and the value for our content type. And what we're going to do here is, again, I can show you, we're just going to drag this variable into the name section, and then we're going to drag this variable for value into the value section here. And then we're going to check this here to send the body. We're going to send the body. Our body is going to be an n8n binary file, and then the input field data name, we can go into our binary section and see that the input field data is going to be data. So you have this data here. We can execute this step, and we can see here that this executed successfully, which means that our file is now being uploaded into Clio. And then we have to run one more step, which is a patch request to let Clio know that a file has been successfully uploaded. The first thing that we're going to do is add a little wait here. So because it may take a little bit of time for our file to upload into Clio, what we're going to do here is add a short wait of 1 minute. And that way we are making sure that we allow for enough time for our file to actually upload to Clio before we send our patch request, which is just a request letting Clio know, hey, this file has been uploaded here. And so that will allow us to actually access the file in the Clio interface. So I'm going to run this, wait on it, and then we will send our patch request. Okay, so our wait has finished executing, which means we can now send off our patch request to Clio to let Clio know that our file has been uploaded. So I'm going to walk you through this request as well. This is the final request that will finish off our scenario. So again, to send an HTTP request, you just click on this plus button in the top right. You're going to search for HTTP request, and then I'll show you how to configure it now. So the method that we're going to be using is a patch method. Patching just means that you're sort of updating a record that already exists. So we're going to select patch as a method, and then we need to configure a variable within our URL, which is going to be from the previous node, which actually let us know the ID of the document that we uploaded, right? So in our previous HTTP request, we got back this ID here, which is letting us know the ID of the document that we're uploading. And what we want to do is in this section here, we want to just enter that ID into that section right before the question mark. And that's going to let Clio know that this file with this ID has been uploaded. And so we can see here, we're letting Clio know that this document has been fully uploaded. Then again, for the authentication, you can use the same exact authentication as before with your Clio connection. We don't need to send anything with query parameters or with the headers. We're going to send the body. The body content type is going to be JSON, and we're going to specify the body using JSON. So what we want to do here, what you're going to want to do here is just copy this exact JSON schema exactly as I have it here. You have this data variable. Don't forget the quotation marks and the colon. And then there's another curly brackets within that. And then we have the universal unique identifier, right? And that is also coming from our first request, which was the post request. And we can find that in the UUID section. So this UUID here, I just want to drag. I can show you now. I want to drag and drop that into the UUID section. And we want to change the variable fully underscore uploaded to true. And then once we run this and we see that it has been done successfully, we can go into Clio. You see we have 2 agreements in here right now, but when I refresh this, I can see the 3rd agreement has just arrived. So I can open this. I can see our agreement has been uploaded into Clio. So everything is already configured. It's the exact same document that has been uploaded to Google Drive. Obviously, you could do whatever you want with this document in n8n. You could set this up to be sent automatically as an email. Whatever you wanted to do with it, you can do that. I'm just showing you how you can work with the Clio API and with the Google Drive API to upload your documents and move them around using those APIs. So we have fully built out this workflow from end to end. We can save this, and then we can turn this on to make it active, and then this will run automatically every time a new transcript is added to that folder. We will get that entire workflow to run automatically, upload to Clio, and also upload to Google Drive as well. Again, if you're looking for help building out automations or solutions similar to this one, there is a link you can click in the description. It's there if you want to click it and you want my help building this stuff out. It's there for you. That's pretty much everything for this video. Hopefully it was useful to you guys. Hopefully you learned how to work with the Clio API, how to upload documents there, how to work with Google Drive as well, how to automate a lot of manual tasks that humans just don't need to be doing anymore. If it was useful for you, if you liked the video, there is a button for that you can click down below. It is a like button, so feel free to give it a like if you did like the video. Leave any comments down below, any other builds that you want me to make, or any questions that you have. Leave those down below. I'll try to get to all of those. And then also subscribe so you don't miss any more builds like these. I'm really glad if you made it all the way here. I'm really glad you made it all the way through to the end. It was a pleasure doing this, and hopefully you enjoyed it as much as I did. Have an amazing day.